I really want to share with you a beautiful, beautiful conversation that I had with my client early in the morning. It was really good, and we were almost sharing how she changed her chaotic, crazy reality just by doing this simple thing. And how I was telling her that when you do this, it can just change your attraction point all of a sudden. It's almost like things are falling apart. It's hard, it's difficult. You're thinking, what am I supposed to do? I can't deal with this. And all of a sudden you go into this complete switch. And I was telling her how you can use this over and over again in tuning into what you want while we are in the middle of what we don't want: chaos, trauma, difficulty. A lot of times what happens is that in our life, we get to the point where things get really hard, when things get really, really, really difficult, and we think we are almost like in the midst of it, and we forget our power, we forget who we really are, we forget that we are spirit having human experience. And at that time, what we have to do is it takes a decision saying, I'm not available for this. That's all it takes. It takes a decision saying, I am not available for this. And when you tell yourself, I'm not available for this, I'm switching my frequency. I am not accepting this as my reality. Because one thing is what is in the 3D in your current reality, but one thing is what you are accepting. If you are accepting, that means you're getting emotionally connected to it. You're giving it meaning. You're giving it life. You're tuning into it. But when we tell ourselves, you know what, I'm not accepting this, I'm not available for this, all of a sudden something happens inside, and our frequency changes, our energetic alignment changes, our frequency and our attraction point changes. And that's when that situation magically starts turning into what we desire. But it all starts with that radical shift saying, I'm not accepting this. I am not. It doesn't mean we go and fight it. It doesn't mean we try to react and try to fight people or fight everybody or fight the circumstance. It means internally first making that shift, saying, I'm not available for this, I'm not accepting this, and I am plugging in fully and embracing the reality that I desire while I'm in it. And when we plug away completely, when we take off the plug completely from what's there in the physical and what we really want to manifest, we tune into it, there is something magical starts happening in the physical. And I always say that every time we're creating from the formless substance. We're creating from that formless energy. It doesn't have a form. Unfortunately, when we see things, we think this is where I am and I need to get there. But the formless is creating from no charge, from not any reality. It has no form. We are the one who decide what form we want to give it, what form we want it to tune into. I was sharing it with her that it's like when you're making a mold, right? And you give mold that shape, that frequency, that energy, and then you keep feeding it, and it solidifies. Physical is the solidification of our thoughts, but we cannot create a new mold by looking at the old mold because we are limiting our potential. Similarly, we cannot create when we're looking at our current physical. So let's not this limited physical define what we really want. Let's completely unplug from this, and by using this, you can use this phrase, I'm not accepting this, I'm not available for this, I'm not feeding this anymore. And when we do that, there's an internal shift, and that's how everything begins in the outside. Outside is a manifestation of internal world, and it starts with the matter, the thought, and it completes its cycle in the physical where it solidifies. And let's not create things from looking at a 3D or physical reality, because that's when creation is finished. That's the whole cycle. And if we're just creating from there, we are too limited, and we are not really limited. All realities, all frequencies are available to us. Every frequency is available. Which is the one we want to tune into? That is the question.